This week on an exciting, deep diving off the top rope episode of Sportskeeda Wrestling's Inside Kradle, we have so much to talk about. AEW changing the game plan heading into their big all-out paper. Wait, hey, I'm sorry, I'm getting an alert here. Ah, crap. Sportskeeda Wrestling wishes Kevin Kellum well in his future endeavors. Where is this coming from? Really? Did you know about this, Rick?
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Damn, are we still going to do the show now?
I mean,
are you working for free?
I clicked record, so we're doing it now.
Did you work yourself into a shoot? Is that what happened here?
Did you work yourself into a shoot? The way you said that. like a mom.
Did you do that again?
Damn it. Did you work? You look at you. You gotta work smart. Don't work hard. You know, it's all right.
No one's ever going to accuse me of working hard.
When you're bumping, you tuck your chin, sweetheart. Yeah,
that's for sure. That is the first lesson I learned.
If you are with us, we will be talking to him about Rick Cucino did some bumping this week. I'm Kev Kellum.
We don't need to talk about that.
We're getting to it. We're getting to it. Rick did some wrestling, and we're going to talk about it this week. Do not think we were doing the show this week and you weren't touching on that. We do this every single week. It is a deeper, kind of more looser conversation about the general topic, the general goings on of this week in wrestling with a little bit more depth. You can check out all the other content we have on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel every Monday night. Vince Russo, bro, talking about Monday Night Raw. Rick, you're with Dutch Mantel every Friday night with Smack Talk, which is SmackDown's been an incredible show. I went to Raw this week. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you about that live experience.
I'm sorry.
And we have those up every single week, plus the top story of the day, 5 days a week. We do the biggest stories of the day right around 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. So those are all on our YouTube. And also, if you're an audio person, we are now available as a podcast as well, including the show every single week. You can check it out. Hours and hours of on-demand content on our video channel on YouTube, Facebook as well, and our podcast. And did you know Snapchat's a big deal? We're big on Snapchat, so that's pretty sweet.
Is that another account I have to sign up for? What the hell is
you're on it? Did you know we record these voiceovers for these incredible top fives? Shout out to our amazing editor Cybercheck who puts these together. He put my face on Macho Man, and it was like a cartoon. I lost my mind watching it. I was like 8-year-old Kevin would lose his watching this. You know what I mean? Like he would lose his mind. Yeah, dig it. Yes, it was Macho Man complaining to Jake the Snake about, why don't you get bit by the snake first?
Former Cincinnati Reds minor league great Randy the Macho Man Savage, by the way.
Oh, you gotta get your Ohio bullshit in there.
Everything comes back to Ohio, Kev. Everything comes back to Ohio.
All right. If you're watching, don't be afraid to jump into the comments there. All right. You know, we are a bit pre-recorded right now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to respond to your comments and get involved in here. If you disagree with the hot takes that we're serving out here like pancakes, get in the comments, tough guy. All right. Type it up. All right. We don't have to yell at each other, but we can argue. We can debate. Make it great. This ain't no flame war. All right. We ain't yelling sucks and like hammering the X button on our keyboard. All right. You know, put an argument together. You disagree with this, let us know. Sound off in those comments and jump in there. A lot to get into. AEW has had a huge week, right?
Before we get into it, I'm going to set the over-under at how many times they get called an AEW mark at about 6.5.
Okay, 6.5?
Yeah.
I'm going to set the over-under at me being called a WWE fanboy at about easily 5-1 odds. Like easily, like 5, like at least or an apologist. I've been called an apologist a lot. So there we go. Let's get into it. AEW moving the needle. All right. A lot of big moves made by them. They sold out the United Center. they sold out the United Center last week.
What, about 8 minutes?
Yes. And this is
for a 1-hour show. Gosh, it's almost like somebody big is going to be there.
It's almost like maybe
like it's the worst kept secret in professional wrestling.
Yes. Let's talk about that. We'll talk about what things that AEW did this week to not really tease that. They kind of pulled off a little bit on this week's Dynamite. But it's all there. A few weeks ago, you had Darby Allin saying he wants to fight the best in the world. They ran the promo. They're going to run the United Center, the home of the Chicago Bulls, and the Blackhawks, a certain former WWE superstar's favorite hockey team. United Center. We're calling it the First Dance, playing into the Bulls stuff here. There were even more teases last night during a promo backstage by the Elite that a lot of people kind of saw.
A lot of Easter eggs in that
Easter
promo.
eggs, yeah.
They're having that. They pulled kind of like an impact promo kind of a thing, except they went Marvel with it. They just put a ton of Easter eggs in there. I mean, Kenny Omega wearing a Cookie Monster shirt, CM Punk. There are several other references, breaking the net. Off of the basketball hoop. There were several other ones that were in there. Hawaiian shirts, possibly Bray Wyatt. We'll talk about that as well. Way too early to assume Bray Wyatt's coming to AEW, although I think it would be a slam dunk, but we will get there.
Also saw a very fancy robe that someone was wearing there as well.
Ooh, boy, did we.
So a lot to be alluded there. Lot to be alluded for what's going on here and how things are going to look. I do have tickets for August 20th. Hopefully that's still happening. But let's talk about AEW in general. They're making some moves here, man. And they're going to do some big things. But some of the moves we thought we were going to get aren't going the way that we thought they were. And other ones, I think, are becoming a little bit bigger faster than we expected. Some new players in AEW are already in prominent positions. Malakai Black, formerly known as Aleister Black, Tommy End, making his in-ring debut for AEW last night in Jacksonville, Florida, at Daly's Place. He defeats Cody, destroys him, and I wouldn't even call it a match. I would say it was more of like a glorified squash. And
it really was.
Put him through a table, wrecked his leg. It was less of a match and more of a handful of very physical things that led up to the finish and a post-match angle where Cody alluded that he is on the verge of retiring, and then was attacked. I kind of like, why are you not picking up that crutch that was brought in the ring? It's almost like they brought that crutch in the ring and they left it there. Yeah. And you're talking about it, and it seems like you put it very, very specifically, like a Red Ryder BB gun. You put it right in the corner, and then you got hit with it. And he was gonna do is tearful. I'm at a different point in my life. I love those guys. People may think that we get mad at the EVPs. Let me just talk about some dirt sheet stuff. And Malakai Black lays me out and takes my boot.
Which, by the way, just shows you that they read. These guys read all of this crap that, sites like us write. So careful what you write out there. They read this stuff. They do. They know who's full of crap and who's not. Who does things the right way and who doesn't. Cassie Lee, she did a great interview this week with Chris Van Vliet, and she raked the dirt sheets through the coal in a segment there, and that was pretty funny. But I highly suggest you check out that interview with Chris Van Vliet. That was some really, really good stuff on InSide. But I loved everything about this main event last night, from Malakai Black being presented as this big star and an instant threat. I absolutely love that. There was no slow playing whatsoever. He came in, he decimated Cody Rhodes. He took Cody Rhodes out as he was making his Mark Henry retirement speech. All Cody needed last night was salmon colored tights. Like, cause for a second there, he had me going. Cause he even talked about, like, on his conference call this week, which we had the audio up on our Spotify channel.
Mm-hmm.
On the podcast channel, he even talked about how, like, last night was really, really big for him personally. And I immediately thought back to that, as it seemed like he was, walking into this retirement speech, and he starts taking off the boots to leave him in the middle of the ring. Had me for a brief second there. And then Malakai came in and blasted him with the crutch. I know it's two of them already. It's hard, man. It's really, really hard.
Counts 2-0. Counts 2-0.
When Mr. Black came into the ring and decimated him with the crutch, I was like, okay, so they're just writing him off of TV for a while. And then I remembered, Cody's filming 2 seasons of that reality show, or that game show that he does. So yeah, they're taking him off of TV for a little while. And I loved Cody's section in the promo where he talked about how his face has been plastered all over, everywhere for the last 3 years. And, we got a bunch of new people here, and it's time for other people to step up into the spotlight. I love that, because it's true, because you have Andrade, you have Christian, you have Miro, who I think is going to be a dominant AEW World Champion one day, multi-time AEW World Champion one day. Now you've brought in Malakai Black, and reportedly you've got other dudes getting ready to come in. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, other free agents are coming available.
You got to take some people off TV then.
You got to take, some people have got to take a step back, and Cody Rhodes is the perfect person to take a step back for the time being over the next few months and let these big names come in and thrive on the main event scene. And I loved everything about it last night. Malakai is now an instant threat. He is a main event player, and it's hard to believe that was the first match we've seen him in since he lost to Kevin Owens in that no holds barred table match or whatever the hell it was before the WWE draft in October.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that was his first match since October of last year.
But he had all those angles and all that different stuff that he had a cartoon they built around him and on SmackDown.
I know
and stuff like that.
He showed up for that one day on SmackDown and gave a black mask to Big E, and then it was bye bye. And
that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show that we've already done. We've already done that show. What do you think here? Is Cody completely out of the picture for All Out, the pay-per-view here, Labor Day weekend?
I think he's out of the picture for a while. I think
you don't even need to bring him back now. You write him off for a while.
I think he was written off for a long time. Maybe not even until the end of the year. They're going back to Daly's place on the 29th of December. So maybe you got to think he just had a baby too. So, maybe he wants to spend some time at home. He's got this game show that he's doing. He's got all these major superstars coming in, and he's also a really, really smart guy. Again, if you go back and you listen to the conference call, he knows that the audience is kind of souring and he's getting a little bit stale with the audience, and he has no interest. This is something he said. He has no interest in turning heel. So he does not want to read the room and turn back into a heel just because people are booing him. He says he doesn't have the energy for a heel run. He did it for 10 years. Doesn't want to do it anymore. So he's going to take some time off, out of sight, out of mind, and he'll come back. I think maybe he's done as a full-time competitor, a full-time wrestler. Maybe we'll see him.
How old is Cody now? He's in his late 30s, right?
Oh, see, that's the thing. It's deceptive because he's been around forever. He was in WWE when he was a young pup. Yeah, he's only 36.
Yeah.
He's only 36. He's younger than most of these guys that they brought in to be main event players.
But what adds to your career? Not going in the ring all the time,
not filling up the bump card. That's exactly what it is. I would not be stunned if he takes kind of like the Triple H approach here, where not
only see him now and then.
We'll see him maybe 3 or 4 times a year for major spots.
They wrote him out of the world title. He did an angle where I can't challenge for the world title ever again.
For right now.
They can always find a way around that if they want to.
Yep.
So that's going on there. Did they write off another character who we thought was going to have a big presence at All Out? For months and months and months, fans have been clamoring to see Adam Hangman Page get his stuff together. He got kicked out of the Elite faction, who are now heels. And then he was tagging with Kenny Omega, who's now a heel once again with the old Elite faction he was in, the world champion. And now they're going to re-meet on different sides of the coin with Hangman no longer the tweener. He is a babyface who's found himself, and he has friends again in Dark Order who want him to be successful. And he tells them, guys, you can't have my back anymore. I got to do this on my own. That's what they tell him when he goes out to the ring last night. And he gets obliterated by the Elite. And even the Dark Order says, we can't go out there and save him. We can't do it. We want to go out there and save him, but we can't because he said we can't save him. And then he still gets his ass kicked. And he gets laid out by all of these guys. All the finishers are put on him, right? By the Elite and Kenny Omega. And we were supposed to get Kenny Omega versus Adam Hangman Page, but they lost this big 5-on-5 match 2 weeks ago. He was going to say something in this promo, but didn't get to say it. Cody was going to retire, but they didn't get to say it.
Right.
And they get attacked. So my issue was sort of the same story you did twice in one show. Also, that Cody angle, we saw something with a crutch 45 minutes before it. All right, you had Britt Baker and Reba in the ring with the crutch. They did that bit. They did a bit with a crutch like 45 minutes beforehand. So some redundancy, but everybody lets them go because it's all Elite, right? It's all It's all copy paste. That's what it feels like. With
right, I don't consider the Cody and the Hangman Page to be similar one iota, to be completely honest with you.
It's not that similar. It's not that similar, but it's somewhere like after the show, and I was like, "Oh, this is a pretty good episode." I've seen better episodes of Dynamite. I don't think that's a
sure. No, but the thing that I love the most about this Adam Hangman Page story is that they are slow playing this to a T, and I like it a lot. There's no need to rush into his world title victory because we know it is coming. It is going to be coming very, very soon. So they don't want to do it in Chicago for a particular reason, and I love that they didn't try to swerve us at all. They didn't give us this, oh, Adam Page lost and now he's lost his opportunity, but we know somehow he's going to come in and he's going to no, because actually in AEW wins and losses matter. They do. It's none of this. Carmella's lost 3 championship matches in a row, but we're going to give her another one because screw it. We don't care. We want Bianca to defend the title again. So here's Carmella again.
The thing is, I think people love Page so much. If he found a way to get into the title situation, I don't think people would get mad about it.
I don't think they'd be mad about it. And then, as a matter of fact, I think there are some more people out there who are disappointed that it's not Page and Omega at All Out, and now we're leaning toward Christian and Omega at All Out. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'm okay with this. One, because I think Christian's there to lose. I would be absolutely stunned if Kenny loses the championship to Christian. I don't think Kenny's losing it until he drops it to Hangman. So this kind of elongates Kenny's run here. He can beat guys like Christian. Maybe he beats a guy like CM Punk. CM Punk could, if he comes in at Rampage, he could show up at All Out.
Wait, dude, why are you talking about CM Punk and AEW? What are you talking about?
Oh, what? Is that a rumor? Is that a spoiler alert that I just did? What going on? A guy like CM Punk, a guy like Daniel Bryan. These guys can come in.
Share the link, everybody. Did you hear that? Share the link. I'm joking.
Shut up. Like it isn't already the biggest. Spoiler alert if you didn't know, Fightful broke the story. Fightful and Body Slam broke the story about Daniel Bryan. But you got all these other guys who can come in and wrestle Kenny Omega and maybe come in and get beat, to be completely honest with you, and really solidify Kenny Omega's title run here before he drops it to Adam Page. But I do love the fact that wins and losses mean something. Hangman lost that elimination match, and he got bumped out of the top 5. And that's it. He doesn't get his title shot. Now he's got to work his way back up. There's more money in the chase, Kevin. You know this. There's more money in the chase than the actual run with the title. And they see that with Adam Page, and they're going to move forward with that. And I appreciate that. Plus, we get to see Christian, who has been on fire in the ring lately, go up against Kenny Omega, most likely at All Out now. I'm cool with it. I am absolutely 100% cool with wins and losses mattering and them not trying to find a way. Like WWE, as good as the swerve was worked this past Friday, with Finn Balor and John Cena, right? And we're going to talk about this a little bit. It's like, oh no, it's really going to be Finn Balor who's going up against Roman Reigns. Nobody for a damn minute believed that Finn Balor was actually going to get that match against Roman Reigns. You knew somehow it was still going to end up being John Cena, and it was. At the end of the day, we got John Cena versus Roman Reigns because
it's what fans wanted to see, and it's where they needed to get to, and what they were building to. This is something where I'm just like, are you cutting the legs off Hangman Page because you want to drag it out more because you think it'll make more interesting television? And you got a pay-per-view coming up, and the payoff isn't going to be there. But obviously, with all these new guys showing up, I think that the fans are going to pop for that. That's going to be their big payoff, is these big reveals that fans know are coming and they get to see. And that's going to be a bigger part of the show than storylines we're building up to that pay off on pay-per-view, which is still the stake of what that show is going to be too.
So. And who says it has to be at a pay-per-view? I mean, one thing that AEW does really well is they make all of their shows feel very, 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 very important. And I had a chance to talk to John Moxley this last week on ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati. That whole interview is available at ESPN1530.com under the podcast section, Cincy 360. He said, look, man, we had some big things planned for Cincinnati on September the 8th. That is my homecoming. We got some huge things planned for that Dynamite. They go out there and they tried to make every show feel special, and that is why they are continuously now drawing 1 million+ viewers every week, and very, very soon I believe they're going to start taking over, getting higher numbers, getting higher viewers than Monday Night Raw is.
We'll talk about Monday Night Raw. I went to Raw. There was some chants, there was some sentiment in the crowd.
Oh yeah, there sure was.
And we will talk about whether or not the show is hijacked, because I can tell you as someone who was there, I can confirm to you whether or not it was. Whether or not you want to go with it one way or not, internet. All right, so let's get into this unfortunate story.
Jesus Christ.
The millennial version of The Undertaker, one of the most beloved characters of the last 10 years that WWE has created. WWE, some people say WWE can't make stars anymore, but they made one. And a guy who definitely made himself and created something very, very special. All right. But it was under their banner. Don't give me that point. Here's the thing. Bray Wyatt released by WWE on Saturday of all days. Very odd time to announce these. These usually get announced by the
way to ruin my weekend, you assholes.
You're texting me like crazy on Saturday morning, and we didn't have it wasn't a pay-per-view weekend, so I didn't feel I had to be up super early. And I'm available sometimes for breaking news things. And I woke up to at least 40 different texts from people at work, people I didn't know at work. There's 40 texts about one person being released, not like those big batch releases we've seen the past few months.
But this is a big one.
This is a big one.
This is a really big one. And one I still and probably never will understand.
Bray Wyatt released by WWE. What's going on here?
For budgetary reasons. He was told it was a budget cut. Can we please, for the love of God, stop with the budget cut bullshit? Pardon my French. I'm sorry. This one pisses me off to no end. There is no way that you can sit there and tell me that I know he has a big contract. I know he does, or he did. You can't tell me that you weren't making money off of Bray Wyatt, because you were. When he was an active competitor, he was one of your top merchandise sellers. He's one of the most beloved characters. There are people who hated him as well. And that's another thing we'll talk about here, because Ronda Rousey set the internet on fire this week, responding to Bray Wyatt's release. So you had the people who weren't big fans of what Bray Wyatt was doing, shall we say. But this is one of the most creative guys in all of the company. This is a guy that everybody was rooting for, who wanted to see better things for, a guy that WWE ruined not once but twice with bad booking, and he still managed to become one of the most beloved superstars in all of the company. And all of a sudden, you're just going to let him go? You're just going to say, we don't need you now? After you transported a character that he built to somebody else, you gave his character to somebody else and then said, we don't need you anymore. See you, bye. Not Alexa Bliss's fault, by the way. Don't give her any more crap about that.
Oh,
not her fault at all.
Note on Raw, she didn't appear in front of a live crowd.
Yeah. Good call.
They did everything taped with her in that regard.
Yes. Very good call. I think they learned from those Jeff Hardy chants on him.
And also, like, this isn't me giving any credence to WWE. There's a lot of creative people that were involved in the creation of that character. And I can tell you, I spoke to some people that worked in WWE creative in the last 10 years this week. All right. And they said working with Bray Wyatt was some of the best stuff for the writers in terms of the creative team working with the talent. Bray was someone that everybody wanted to work with. Everyone had the best pitch for, and the best pitches were created for him because he's such, for lack of a better phrase, a moldable character that you can do so many specific over-the-top things that are drawn out over a long period of time. There's a lot of production elements that were tied to this character. There's a lot of very, very special things about this character. And I think for younger fans, I want to talk about fans under the age of 25, he's a very mythical character for them. Yes. He's a very special character for them. There's a lot of lapsed fans who came into WWE since the network kind of revived. You saw this when the network came out. There was a lot of new fans that came out in 2014. Bray was a big part of those fans. For NXT fans that came back in those 10 years.
Bray Wyatt brought a ton of fans back to professional wrestling.
Yeah,
he absolutely did. There's no denying that whatsoever. This is a guy that I fell in love with as a character when he came out as the cult leader of the Wyatt family and that backyard swamp family, that you would see in like Cabin in the Woods or something like that. This family that brings you in, or House of 1,000 Corpses. This family that brings you in, and
Cape Fear.
Right,
a lot of different things. A lot of hey, we make movies, pal. You remember that Vince McMahon quote?
Yes.
And this is a very cinematic character to the T
Yes,
of like anything you can do with him.
They had money with Bray Wyatt. They had money with the Wyatt family, and yet when you look at every single one of them, it's like, first off, they're all gone. Not a single one of them is left in WWE, which is mind-boggling to me. But Bray Wyatt specifically, man, they had several instances where they could have built him up as the top star in the company, and they decided to give a big win to the old guard instead of him. And at a certain point, the crowd just stopped losing interest or just stopped rooting for him, stopped getting interested in what he was doing because he never wins the big one. He got that stigma that I'm never going to win the big one. I'm not going to beat the John Cena's at WrestleMania. I'm not going to beat the Undertakers at WrestleMania. I'm not going to beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania. So why should we care? To the point that he had to go away, completely reinvent himself, comes back, gets this massive over character, becomes the most talked about person in all of professional wrestling. And then it's, oh, hey, we're going to feed you to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. And then, oh yeah, you're not going to beat Randy Orton again at WrestleMania. Oh, and then we're going to give your character to somebody else and we're going to release you. They have done Bray Wyatt so dirty, and he has made him so much money. I'm actually thrilled when I stop and think about it. I'm actually thrilled to think, what he can accomplish outside of that company, because
that's my next question.
They did not appreciate him enough, and they screwed him over a lot.
What's next? Where does he go? Does he wrestle anymore? Is he involved in wrestling? Is this a guy who leaves the wrestling business? I think he's one of those guys that he can go do other things outside of wrestling. He's a very creative, talented guy. And
I'm not the first person to say this. I think Vince Russo said this as well. I think he'd be perfect in Hollywood. I think he's a tremendous actor. He's an absolutely brilliant creative mind. I have no earthly idea whatsoever if he wants to wrestle again. There are a lot of personal rumors surrounding Bray Wyatt. Not going to get into it. Not my business too. So could I see him never wrestling again? Absolutely. Could I see him showing up in AEW? Absolutely. I think they got to make that phone call. Could I see him showing up in Impact or going over to New Japan? Sure. There are a lot of options, and there are going to be a lot of options. I guarantee you, the second that Bray Wyatt hit that free agent market, his phone was ringing. So he's going to have a lot of options. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what he does.
Before he does any of those, I know he's going to work a convention. Him doing conventions and signings and different things like that. So William Rotunda, the cult of Rotunda, is now back. Wyndham. So that's coming up. But there was a reaction to this that was kind of surprising this whole week. We saw a lot of people respond to this online.
Holy crap. The second I saw this on Twitter, I sent it to the news team and said, Merry Christmas to whoever writes this bad boy up.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey, who's not been seen in a WWE ring in over 2 years. All right. And apparently is still under contract with the company. She still has a deal with the company, standing in some form or another. The big UFC jump over star, who I believe was a huge part of the women's evolution, whether or not people like to admit that, right? Came in as a big star. She's had a gripe with the WWE fans who she wanted to love. She wanted these fans to love her, and they turned on her. And even though she is she's become a professional wrestler and understands it's a part of the show, they turn on you, you go with it, you make your story, right? She said beef here, and she went off on the fans saying that you were ungrateful and you're part of the reason why this happened, because you didn't express your love for him and you would prefer to throw beach balls and chant different ridiculous things when he was in the ring, and you mocked him. To some degree, you mocked the idea of his presentation. So then it makes it easier to let guys like this go who are really over, who suddenly have beach balls bouncing around the arena during their matches. That's never a good thing. I've talked to people that work in WWE. The wrestlers despise that. They truly despise it. You know that too. And it's kind of a reference towards, if you love him this much and you're all saying this, then where were you when he was doing all these things in WWE? Where were you when this Goldberg thing happened? And where were you on this? And to a degree, she's not wrong. And my tweet about this was, if you're mad about this, you're mad because it's about you. And I do think, and this is something more reference to the idea of wrestling fandom in general, the coolest thing in wrestling is not any one wrestler now. The coolest thing is not any one match. It's not even an angle. It's nothing going on in the ring. It's trolling. Yeah. We've now been reduced because of the last year and a half, spending so much time on the internet, trolling something is now the coolest thing you can do for the quick dopamine in the back of your head fix of, I got likes and I got retweets, I got likes and I got retweets, and I have to do the most provocative thing that I can do, so I'm going to say this bad thing about this billionaire, and they're doing this, and this guy, and I read this thing, and everyone's trying to be a satirist, and they don't know how to spell the word satire. So Ronda Rousey, she pissed you off. It's likely about you, buddy. It's likely about you.
She had a I get where she's going with it. I do. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend for 1 second that the same fans, as she wrote, the same fans who are who are chanting "We want Wyatt" on Monday, are the same fans that were booing him and throwing beach balls and doing this, that, and the other thing. Look, there are crap fans out there. There's no
it's
doubt.
It's the same fans. I was there, dude. I was in that crowd. It's the same type of people that would do the same thing. Same people.
Yeah, but you can't sit there and say it's the same people, because you have people who love Bray Wyatt, who have loved Bray Wyatt. Now, there is a big difference, by the way. So I'm a Baron Corbin fan. I don't like what Baron Corbin is doing on SmackDown. I don't like the stuff that they're doing with him on SmackDown. So one of those two can be the same. And we have seen this when people change characters. Oh my gosh, how much crap did Nikki ASH get from the very vocal minority IWC, which is the Internet Wrestling Community, by the way.
I hate that word.
When she changed her character and was like, "Hey, we want sanity. We want sanity, Nikki, back. This is crap. Give us our sanity, Nikki, back." Same thing going on with Alexa Bliss. All of a sudden, people want the Little Miss Bliss. They don't want, creepy Alexa. They don't want Lily or this, that, and the other thing. People don't like change, and people don't like it when their favorites get tweaked, but they have to understand that, characters evolve. That plays into part of this, is why fans, we're occasionally booing Bray Wyatt. I remember him getting some boos during his match with The Miz, where it was just a sweater vest Bray Wyatt, where Bray was getting his ass beat pretty much the entire match by The Miz, but he was loving it. That's one of my favorite Bray Wyatt matches of all time. He told an absolutely incredible story in that ring about how much that, keep hitting me, I love it. Keep hitting me, I love it. And he's cracking up laughing, and he's doing all this sinister stuff, and he finally gets over on The Miz. I can get where that match doesn't play well in a crowd, and so people might boo a little bit, while me watching at home, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Bray Wyatt's a damn genius. So yes, there were people who didn't like the character, or didn't like the spooky stuff or the supernatural elements of it. So there would be some people who are against Bray Wyatt. So I can see where Ronda Rousey is coming from. But at the same time, a lot of this goes back to what I was talking about with WWE, where the fact that they did not put Bray in a position to succeed and be as over as possible. And WWE, to a certain extent, ruined him as a character with bad booking over and over and over again, to the point where he was expendable. This is just as much on WWE as it may be on those bad fans. And I also think Ronda has a bit of a vendetta because they started booing her.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple.
I just don't think she's not wrong. Like she's just not wrong about it. And I think
she's not wrong, but she's not right either. It's not a cut and dry. It's not a cut.
I think she's 100% right. If there's something that WWE saw where they thought the edge was off of Bray, maybe that's why they said, like, all right, well, if we can just do this with somebody else, we're going to do it with someone else. And I know this is disheartening.
The only reason why there was any kind of edge was off on Bray Wyatt is because they did it. They did
I'm not denying that.
By making him lose a Hell in a Cell match by a non-compete, by like saying, no, we can't continue this match. We can't continue Hell in a Cell. No definitive finish. We can't do that. By making him lose to Goldberg inside of 3 minutes when he literally survived an electrocution prior. By making him lose to Randy Orton again at WrestleMania, and then he was off TV for a while.
Richard.
They have this gold character, this money-making character, a guy who's the greatest thing in the company, and they kept squashing him with the booking.
I'm trying to reel in this big mouth bass that's fighting me on the reel here.
You can't tell me it's not their fault. They killed something, and they were like, oh, well, he's not as popular as he used to be, so I guess we can just let him go. Plus, we gave his character to somebody else.
Rick, I'm not denying that. The circumstances, all right? The flood comes through, it takes out some houses, and it leaves some others that you think are gonna be gone. Right? I'm not denying that. I'm not saying WWE's not at fault in this, but she's not wrong. And this is more of a statement towards the way fans consume stuff and turn on things and love things very, very quickly. And notice how they love Roman Reigns. Didn't have that opinion of him a few years ago, suddenly. And the booking is the reason why he's so loved now. That's a part of it, right? So it goes both ways. Let's talk about Raw live in Chicago following all of this. Now, Chicago, as you know, I know I'm going to be biased. I'm going to do all my Chicago stuff, and
it's a great wrestling town, Kevin.
It's a great wrestling town, all that stuff, right?
Great wrestling town, yes.
Thank you for your little dismissive comment.
No Cincinnati, by the way, but we never get any damn shows.
It's a major market. All right, so
okay. If you actually focused on the greater Cincinnati area, which includes northern Kentucky, which includes Dayton, which includes southwest Indiana, which includes all the suburbs, all right?
Yeah.
Just as big as a market, pal. Just as big a market.
Hey, if we combine this 500-mile radius together, we're pretty good.
It's all Cincinnati, baby. It's all Cincinnati. If you're not from here, you don't get it. Newport, Kentucky, it's Cincinnati. Fairfield, Ohio, it's Cincinnati. Dearborn,
are you saying Milwaukee is Chicago?
Cincinnati.
Are you saying Milwaukee is Chicago then? Like anything within an hour and a half of the city is ours?
No, you just don't get it if you're not from here. Everybody just looks at the city of Cincinnati, the confines of it, and goes, "Oh, there's only like 800,000 people in here. That's a small market." No, it ain't.
All right.
No, it ain't.
Ohio is for lovers, and it's also for Rick's bullshit. All right. So
it's an underserved market, sir.
Yes.
Underserved.
Okay. I'm gonna reel you in. Yeah, I got you. I got to keep pulling in.
Pissed off this week.
Big mouth Rick Bass here. I'm gonna keep people full of it here. I'm at Raw this past Monday. And I had good seats, and I was expecting some reactions. And I thought it was a fine show. I've been to better WWE shows, and there were CM Punk chants. That's expected. Chicago CM Punk chants.
Sure. Yeah.
Those have been there since he left the company. But they were going to be bigger tonight, right? Because he's going to AEW, and they can hijack the show. You had people reporting that Sunday before the show that there were going to be those chants. That's not a news story because it didn't happen yet. That's called presumption. All right. So then we get to the show, and there's some Wyatt chants, right?
Yeah. You knew that was coming.
I'm there live. I then get home, and everyone's saying the show is hijacked. It was this. It was that. The show was so hijacked. I get into it with somebody on Twitter, and they're saying the show got hijacked. I was there live. I've been to a WWE show when they turn on the show in Chicago, in the exact same arena. This was not that. That was over 12,000 people that bought a ticket to go to a WWE show for the first time in a year and a half. And some people turned on the show. Some people didn't. Some people had a great time. Some people left like, hey, I've been to better WWE shows. Other people said I had a great time. I haven't been to wrestling in a long time. I had a really, really good time. But that narrative cannot be told. We can't talk about little kids having a good time seeing Nikki Ash. We can't have people having a good time booing Charlotte Flair or watching, Drew McIntyre crush a steel chair with the sword, right? We can't have that. Because what's the most important thing? What's the coolest thing in wrestling, Rick? Coolest thing in wrestling.
Got to crap on everything. Trust me, there was plenty to crap on about Monday Night Raw, but I don't think the crowd was it. A lot of it was the perception, because WWE was prepared for those chants, and they were piping in crowd noise at certain points. They were trying to mask the chants whenever they happened. The "We Want Becky" chants, or whether it was "We Want Wyatt," or whether it was the CM Punk chants. They were ready with crowd noise to block that out. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, they were more ready to block out actual live crowd reactions than giving the audience something to cheer for. They were more worried about crowd reactions instead of actually just putting on a good show. You had a hot crowd in Chicago, a great wrestling market, as you've said, and you come out there and trot out at best a so-so show. At best. If you're a casual fan and you haven't been watching the last few months, yes, I can see where you'd say, all right, that was pretty good. That wasn't bad. Great way to close out the show.
Hardcore fans could be upset about it, but casual fans left that show being like, this is cool. I haven't watched it in a while. I'm back in it.
And what do you remember? You always remember the last thing you see. And that was there a dark match, a dark main event?
Yeah, they did New Day, Kofi and Xavier versus MVP and Bobby Lashley.
Okay, yeah, so I get it. That was probably really, really good. A really, really great match.
It was actually really cool. Someone called him Trashly, so they ran over to Mike Rome. Either Xavier or somebody ran over to Mike Rome, and he had to run around with some production people, and they ran in the crowd. I could see it happen. I was 3-0s at the floor. I was right behind the production area. You know, we get those sweet behind the production area, so you can see them when they're talking to each other a little bit. And they come out with a plastic trash can. And Kofi started to run around the ring and hit the trash can to get the crowd to like chant about Trashly. And I was like, oh, I hope they get to use the trash can and stuff. It was fun. It's fun stuff you get to do on a dark match where if that wasn't written into TV, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, God forbid you put something fun like that on television or have the New Day on TV at all when they're at the arena. That was like one of the weirdest things with the Raw the week prior is they had John Cena there, but they didn't put him on TV. Also,
this is a major market. This is the first like real major market. I mean, they had Houston that they came back with SmackDown in terms of WWE returning in front of live crowds. This is also another thing that I thought was kind of deflating about the show. This crowd came out, sold out, diehard fans, but the more the casual sect, a lot of merchandise, a lot of people showing up with their shirts and stuff like that. No Randy Orton. No John Cena. This is the only show with John Cena prior to SummerSlam that he's not going to be on in his big summer Cena tour.
He was touring. He was doing his media stuff for a Suicide Squad, yeah.
And they kind of did an angle where Riddle was fighting Omos, who looked awesome. Almost looked great.
His booking,
but him and Riddle are kind of like tied together, but we haven't seen we haven't seen Orton on television. A lot of people were thinking Randy Orton was going to in the crowd. People were just like looking at the entranceways. Randy going to come out?
No AJ Styles either. No AJ Styles. He disappeared.
No AJ Styles. No Becky Lynch, even though people were chanting for him. They got Goldberg, but I think there was just some stuff they wanted on the show that wasn't advertised.
It wasn't advertised.
You know, WWE conditions people to enjoy surprises. Wrestling in general.
They closed the night on a great note. I think Nikki and Charlotte.
That main event was awesome. That was such a good main event.
Nikki and Charlotte have such tremendous chemistry with one another. They told a hell of a good story. I think both of their in-ring storytelling these last 2 weeks has been great. Still not a huge fan of Nikki losing last week, but her getting her redemption this week was really, really good. It was nice to see her get a air quote clean victory and not a fluky victory. It was kind of fluky, but not really. The story was still great there. Nikki has taken a hell of a beating these last 2 weeks. So they're really kind of building her up. They're doing it weird with Nikki, and I get it. Like, she won the championship, and now they're building her up. So, you know,
title makes the star. Star doesn't make the title.
So they're trying to like make it. The story, I believe, anyway, is that she won the championship, but she kind of lucked into it. So now does she deserve it? And I think that's the story they're telling leading into SummerSlam.
Almost a superhero,
right? Almost a superhero. So I'm enjoying the story. I truly am, and I'm hoping she gets a big win over both Charlotte and Rhea at SummerSlam, because otherwise, what's been the point of all this? But it was a great way to close out the show. But my God, other than a few little highlights, man, it was the same stuff. We're seeing rematch after rematch. We're seeing 50-50 booking, which means we're gonna get even more rematches. We are getting incredibly bad promos. I don't care whose idea was to bring up Simone Biles. I don't care who's saying it. It was a really, really, really dumb thing.
You're talking about Charlotte Flair's line?
Yeah, it was really, really bad. She's sitting here talking about how, oh, trust me, I'm going to get around to this. There's going to be a point there. And then she never got around to having the point there because it was just WWE trying to say something that makes it seem like they're relevant or up to date on things. And it didn't fly. It was a bad move. It was bad for AEW to include the Simone Biles thing in their wrap on AEW Dark this week as well.
We'll get to that before the end of the show as well.
Yeah, it just absolutely dumb stuff all around for both companies to do that. My God, I cringed so damn hard when Eva Marie said ewy and yucky, talking about Lily. What grown woman says ewy and yucky? That my daughter says that stuff. Like, no grown woman talks like that. These promos are bad. There's no direction. There's no storytelling whatsoever. There's no clear-cut direction for this company outside of a few people. And it's the same stuff over and over and over again. It's the same show week in and week out. And it's like all we heard leading up to this, the rumor backstage was, oh, just wait until live crowds come back. We're really going to start giving you the good shit. We're going to start giving you the good shit. Well, apparently the good shit was, here's a few prominent part-timers. They're going to be around through SummerSlam, and then it's back to business as usual. And already when it comes to Monday Night Raw, it's business as usual. AEW goes out of their way to make each show feel unique and special and continue to drive storylines forward. SmackDown is consistently good. NXT is consistently good. Monday Night Raw is stuck in the mud. It's unfathomable to me that the same company runs all three of those shows.
Another thing is, I think people paint all of WWE with the brush of Monday Night Raw, when if they paint it in the reverse from Friday to Monday, it'd be a different story. You know what I mean? Like if we went that way. But that is there. Like I said, it wasn't the worst show. I was there live, so it's a completely different experience then. People didn't boo the Simone Biles thing. They wanted to chant for Becky. I enjoyed Charlotte doing that pivot where she got off script, right? She got off the page a little bit and said, Becky's not here. I sold out this place. She's not here. I did this. I think Charlotte was the MVP of the night, even though she had that line with Simone, which is kind of, I get what they were going for, but it just didn't, like they're more just trying to reference it and just reference the thing. I don't think they were using it for cheap heat. I've seen cheaper heat segments, but that's me. I think there was a cheaper heat segment with AEW, and the way they used it was a lot different. It's how you do it, right? Sure. It's not that you're doing it, it's how you're doing it. So let's talk about other things that are worrisome in WWE. Everyone's worried about WWE right now. There's a lot of things to be worried about that they do control and they don't control. The rematches, the bad promos, all those different things you talk about here. But
one of the other things, championship contender matches. What on God's green earth are these championship contenders matches? Why do people have to beat the champions? That's another thing that AEW does really, really well. They protect the people who hold their championships. They protect the Young Bucks. They protect the hell out of Kenny Omega. Miro looks unfreaking stoppable right now. There's none of this cheap losses. There's none of these roll-up things. There's none of this, oh, Bobby Lashley's looks so dominant, but hey, we're going to have Kofi Kingston beat him because, we want to set up a title match. No. Whatever happened to building up 2, 3, 4 guys on your mid-tier card, having them stack up win after win after win, and then you have 2 guys who are white hot having... Do you remember these things called number 1 contenders matches? Do you remember those? Where people would actually fight each other and then the winner would go on to face the champion? Why does Damian Priest have to beat Sheamus to get a United States title match? It doesn't make any sense. Sheamus should be beating up fools. Damian Priest should be beating up fools. And then they should just fight for the championship. These number 1 these championship contenders matches makes no sense. Charlotte Flair has had 2 championship contenders matches back-to-back weeks after she was already put in a title match at SummerSlam.
You want to bitch about something else, Rick?
Oh, there's a lot I could. Yeah.
Let's talk about these WWE contract stories. There's a mixture of a handful of these coming up right now.
Yeah.
The big one this week was Adam Cole, baby. So Adam Cole is still under contract with WWE.
Barely.
But it took people 5 seconds to type letter AEW on their keyboard when they heard about this story, right? Still under contract with WWE.
Barely.
Barely, yes.
His contract literally expired, and no one knew it until it had happened.
And like, that led to the dismissal of a long-time WWE talent executive.
Oh yeah. Some heads rolled for that for sure. But I mean, you had the oversight with Malakai, where they never updated his non-compete, so he only had 30 days. And then they started scrambling and checking contracts. And then they realized that Adam Cole's contract expired. And then they're like, hey, Adam, so short-term.
At that time, it would have been close to expiring. So that's where they built in this extension.
They had like days. They had like literal days before his contract expired. And he agreed to a short-term extension to continue out this storyline.
And they've done that with other people before too. They've done that with other talents where they aren't going to get it. They can't figure out a long-term deal with that specific talent. So hey, can we do a short-term extension to this day? They've done that with people a lot.
But were they even negotiating with Adam Cole? Probably not, because they didn't know his contract was.
We don't know if they were or not. Like, we don't know that. That's assumption. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of assumption that people are rushing to here. The assumption is that Adam Cole is leaving WWE sometime after SummerSlam.
That's the assumption, yes. But they're going to make a contract extension to him. And this was all broken by Fightful.com. Sean Ross Sapp continues to just hit home runs every other day.
Millennial Melter!
He said, look, they're going to offer him a long-term contract extension. And Adam Cole is going to do, what's best for Adam Cole. And let's not just be lazy and sit here and go, oh, well, Britt Baker's in AEW, so clearly Adam Cole is going to go to AEW as well. Really? Nope. Why is Zelina Vega in WWE?
Yep.
Like, why does Zelina Vega come back after her husband was let go? You don't always have to work with your significant other.
Nope.
Doesn't mean a damn thing. Adam Cole's going to do what's best for Adam Cole. Whether he negotiates a main roster contract or decides to stick in NXT, Adam Cole's going to do what Adam Cole wants to do, what's best for him. So that could be.
I don't think I'm out of line by saying this. I think he stays. I think he stays in WWE. And I mean, if he leaves, sure, he leaves. There's some stuff out there, certainly some things out there to do. But as I keep saying, everyone sees these contracts come up. They're going to AEW. This person. I don't think AEW wants everyone to come over from WWE, because then they just become big budget TNA from 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, like, but I get it in certain circumstances, because it's like, oh, well, okay, Malakai Black is available. Yeah, we're gonna bring him in. Oh, Bray Wyatt's available. Yeah, we got to pick up the phone call. We got to make it. Andrade's available. Yeah, they're letting go all these young, talented superstars that were, most of them, underutilized in WWE. A lot of them sat in catering for the longest time, and AEW is like, yeah, we can make stars out of those guys.
But I just don't think AEW, even though they have a new TV show coming out on Fridays, it's only an hour, and then their two other shows are web series, which are basically developmental on the internet.
Right. That's where you're going to see a lot of your younger guys.
And that's independent wrestlers that are coming down that are not under contract with a company, that are trying to get spots, and some people that are, and occasionally, a John Moxley will work a match on it or something, right? Yeah. It's superstars from the 90s. It's a bunch of promos and a handful of squash matches, and some people show off their skills. It's a showcase.
Talents, yeah, things like that.
Yeah. All right. That's what the web shows are for them. So in this regard, I don't think everyone can go over there.
No,
I do think WWE has the bandwidth. I don't know what the budgets are, but I don't think WWE can have another big name talent say no to a contract and leave. And at some point, someone has to benefit from the timing of those people leaving, these people being released, fans being upset. My contract's coming up. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
and
but
the circumstances may end up being in Adam Cole's favor for a very, very nice deal with WWE come later this summer, or he goes somewhere else.
Yeah, or maybe he's ticked off. A lot of his friends were released for budgetary reasons during two really high quarterly postings for WWE. So maybe that's part of it. He does have a lot of friends who are in AEW or in New Japan, and that's the other thing. With the forbidden door wide open for every other company other than WWE, Adam Cole could literally go to any of these companies and still wind up on AEW. The money might be better in WWE, but he could go to New Japan and still end up on AEW. He could go to Impact and still end up on AEW. We had the Impact World Tag Team Champions. They've been on Dynamite for the last 3 weeks.
Are they getting Dynamite money though? See, we don't know that. We don't know the arrangement.
Some kind of money. You're not showing.
They have
up
to get
free.
something. They're not showing up there for free. No, they're not. They're not showing up there for free.
No, I mean they're not in it for the love of the game. Some of them are. But you're not going to show up for free, not at this stage. You're getting paid. You're on the show. You're on TV. You better be getting paid, because otherwise you're doing it wrong.
Got some grizzled young veterans there just hanging out, making some monies.
But this all comes down to when you look at everything. When you look at the same show pretty much every week on Monday Night Raw, the lazy booking, the bad promos, the constant rematches, the nonsensical championship contenders matches, 50-50 booking, the lack of continuity with NXT, Karrion Kross and Keith Lee wrestling again. They've now had Karrion Kross lose twice before his big matchup with Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver. So yeah,
so aggravating.
So yeah, let's just take all of the shine off of our main event for our NXT pay-per-view that's coming up in 3 weeks. Look, if this storyline with Karrion Kross was, well, we want him to lose a few times once he comes up to the main roster so we can introduce Scarlett and she helps him get back on track. Okay, I get it. It's dumb. I don't like it, but I get it. Can you wait till the damn belt is off the guy before you do all this crap? Because let's not forget, they literally spent a full year putting this guy over. He was undefeated in singles competition. Now he's 1-2 in
got pinned on Raw, right?
Yeah,
I was there live.
He got beat clean as a sheet by Keith Lee. After Keith Lee
fun
lost,
match,
great match, fun, really fun, really fun. But again, 50-50 booking, rematches. They didn't care about the history for this. They literally just put this on back-to-back Raws in the middle of August instead of building to a big rematch, playing off of the history of these two in NXT. You couple that with the contract oversights of Malakai Black and Adam Cole, and now Pete Dunne
plenty to worry about.
Up soon. Cassie Lee, she told, I talked about that interview that she did with Chris Van Vliet. She told him she actually wanted to request her release months ago before she was finally let go. You got guys like Ric Flair who don't agree with the booking, the long-term booking and the plans for WWE, saying, yeah, you know what? Stop paying me my Legends deal. I'm out. I want to go. I want to go do something else. Budget cuts with high quarterly earnings. You couple all of that together, man. There is a perception out there, whether WWE realizes or not, that all they care about is their bottom line. All they care about is how good their books look. It's all about money with them. They could care less about anything else, especially letting go a guy like Bray Wyatt. That's the perception that is out there right now, and that's what they're fighting, whether they know it or not, and they got to do something to turn it around.
It is certainly interesting here as to how things are going to go for WWE moving forward. We do have SummerSlam in a few weeks.
We do.
And SummerSlam, a few weeks away, you're going to be there in Vegas.
Hopefully.
That. WWE SummerSlam going down Saturday, August 21st. Unique presentation by WWE. Allegiant Stadium. First big wrestling show in this new stadium in Vegas. Home of the Raiders. They've done a handful of things, but this will be like one of the first 5 or 6 things they've ever done. This new state-of-the-art facility. Same night as a Manny Pacquiao fight right down the road. Allegiant Stadium pitches to WWE, which always makes WWE feel good. And if you're a wrestling fan, you should feel good about that as well. Destination show. We're hearing about this show in the summer or in this late spring. The vaccinations are rolling out. The pandemic's coming down. Around that time, getting on a plane, going to Vegas, sounds like a great time, man. Oh, yeah, by that time, let's go. I bought tickets to Lollapalooza. I went to Lollapalooza, by the way.
How was that?
I had a good time, and I'll talk about it, and that's part of this conversation. As the Delta variant is sweeping the United States right now and many other countries, I'm sorry to bring up that awful word that we have to hear about all the time, that awful phrase. And we also have to worry about Delta Plus now, the worst streaming service of all time, and a variant of the variant. This kind of new version of COVID, which if you're vaccinated, you can get it and you're fine, but you can still spread it, which is a concern, right?
Right.
And you're likely not going to be hospitalized 9 times out of 10, unless you have a very rare case. So in most cases, you should be all right. But then you have a lot of people in the country, in the United States, who still are not vaccinated, despite all these billions of dollars that have been spent to market it and push the information and get it available to people. And there's plenty of people I'd say a majority of people in the wrestling industry that I've talked to that are in the WWE say, yes, people here are vaccinated, And then you have, Jeff Hardy, who got like a breakthrough case a few weeks ago. He got pulled off television. That's fine.
Yep.
10 months ago, that would have been a really scary thing. Pre-vaccine, that would have been really, really scary. Are they going to have a really serious bout of this? So we don't know. So this comes into Las Vegas, Nevada, which is a tourist destination anyway. I knew at least a dozen different friends from different friend groups who went to Vegas in the last 5 or 6 weeks, not wrestling fans. And they said, as my friends went in June, they said it was awesome. It was wide open. You could go anywhere. It was great. You would have thought COVID wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And then I had some friends that went a few weeks ago, and they went to Vegas, and they said it is very much a thing again. But it's also Vegas, so people aren't going to care. It's going to be like the Wild West. You go to Vegas, you're out of your mind, right? So
apparently
SummerSlam's going to be there with over 40,000 people. I talked to a friend who has tickets to SummerSlam and is going, somebody in the industry, and they say they were told about this before the show privately by somebody with WWE. And then they were told by somebody with Live Nation who's a part of Ticketmaster. And then I talked to some fans who got tickets, and they said, yes, just regular fans who aren't covering wrestling. And they said, yeah, there's a mask mandate. You got to wear a mask if you're going to the show. You got a notification from them with the ticket saying you got to wear a mask if you're going to be at the show. Now, there was a mask mandate at WrestleMania in Florida, those 2 nights they ran there, but there were a lot of people not wearing masks in that crowd. How are you going to police that? That's 40,000 plus
Well,
people.
See, here's the thing. You have to wear your mask unless what? You're eating or drinking. So you can just sit there and be a cow chewing your cud. Oh,
I wore a mask. Here's the thing. I went to Lollapalooza, right? It's 100,000 people. You guys saw all the memes, right? What lineup is on there? Delta and the Variants. I heard that joke. Yeah, yeah, it's fine. I went and saw the Foo Fighters. It was really great. I was kind of off to the side, but there's still people everywhere, right? That's kind of what I signed up for. And I went with some people who went all 4 days, and everyone I talked to was vaccinated. And it was like, you don't bring it up to people, but it's like the conversation comes up, right? And I felt better about that regard. Like if I do get at least, hopefully somebody's here. And I went with someone who didn't want to get vaccinated, but got tested before we went. And I said, the deal is like, hey, if we're going, you got to get tested afterwards, and I'll get tested too. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. So I think that's part of it. You don't want to get vaccinated, just do the testing. Testing is free and easy to get a hold of. And you can get a rapid test that used to cost hundreds of dollars. You can get it now like that. You can buy it easier than you can get a candy bar in some cases. So, and also just get the shot too. Just get
the damn shot, and this goes away. Like, geez.
The Illinois State Fair has Sammy Hagar performing at it, of Van Halen, Bret Michaels, all these things. Like, all right, big bandstand. And you know what else they're offering at the State Fair with corn dogs and all the different State Fair stuff? Vaccinations. You can go get a vax, get a corn dog, and we're going to listen to Van Halen.
They were doing, if memory serves correct, I think they were doing pub crawls here in Cincinnati with vaccines, like being offered in like each one or some crap like that.
The first one. Well, no, I mean, yeah, because the weird thing is you think you wouldn't be able to drink booze right if you got it, right? But you could do that. If I'm WWE, I offer on site at SummerSlam, you can get vaccinated.
Absolutely. And I know Cass with bodyslam.net came out this week and said WWE is doing contingency plans in case the variant explodes and they can't do SummerSlam in Las Vegas, that there are some internal concerns that they may have to cancel SummerSlam, or they may have to go back to the Thunderdome in recent weeks or in a few weeks. I'm not getting overly concerned about that. Nothing's a thing until it's a thing. And I think they absolutely should plan for that. But man, I'm telling you what, if I had my choice, if I'm WWE, and you've seen certain people do this, you've seen Broadway do this. If I'm WWE and my choice is either go back to the Thunderdome or keep touring and do vaccinated only crowds, I'm doing vaccinated only crowds. I'm sorry. That's what I'm doing. And I'm not just saying this because I'm fully vaccinated. I'm saying, okay, good. Because if there are people out there, the people who are unvaccinated, where this virus is spreading amongst the unvaccinated population at like a 95% clip, at like 100% of the hospitalizations are unvaccinated people. Yeah, okay. Because here's the thing. I could go out to the show. Yep. I could get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could get it. I'm fully vaccinated. I may not get major league sick. That's fine. But then I come home.
You could pass it on to somebody.
And I give it to my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
My kids who are 2 and 8 months old.
Yeah.
Who can't?
And it's a variant. It's a variant. So it's not. We're not dealing with even COVID we had a year ago.
This is 4 times more contagious than. Yeah. Or no, excuse me. What the Alpha variant was 50 times more contagious than the original one, and this one was even more on top of that. So this one is extremely contagious, spreads like freaking chicken pox. Go get your damn shot. We don't have to worry about this. That's my TED talk for the day. Just go get your damn shot. We don't have to worry about this. Things will die down. We won't have
and that's another thing. I'm talking to people like I think Lollapalooza got bit because it's the last weekend of July, and when they announced it, vaccinations were soaring. So that so if it stayed at that clip, at that point it was 35%. It was beginning of June, and they announced it. And we're going to do this at the end of July, and they sold the tickets, and a lot of people wanted to go, and a lot of people were there. And Lollapalooza, for their part, said 80% of this crowd is vaccinated. And we turned away a couple hundred people the first day. And mind you, that's what the festival is going to say, right? There's going to be COVID cases from it. Is there going to be a lot? Is there not? We don't know, but at the same time, I hope things are managed that way, where if you're coming, you gotta show your paperwork and you gotta do that things, and you can do your conspiracy theory bullshit wherever you want to do. I don't care. This isn't me speaking for the company that we're broadcasting for. Our opinions are our own. All right. But vaccinated only wrestling shows, WWE has the infrastructure and they work with the arena partners to be able to do this. AEW has the infrastructure and they have the arena live partners to do this. Are you going to turn away some fans who are going to be pissed off about this because they just don't want to do it? Sure. But we're at the point where saying no to someone is going to be part of the positive momentum to getting to something.
I would call it the Darwin rule. I would call it the Darwin rule.
I didn't.
I would call it the Darwin rule, sitting here saying, hey, you guys want to live? Okay, that's fine. Let's do this. We got to force you guys to not be stupid. That's pretty much it. That's my personal opinion on it. I'm sorry. It is. Broadway's already doing this. If you want to go to a Broadway show, you have to show proof of vaccination. You got more and more companies who are requiring the vaccine as a.
That's all of New York. That's all of New York City. So WWE's going to be there in a few weeks. Yeah. Is this going to affect those shows at Madison Square Garden? Is WWE going to have this with Survivor Series when they're going to have at Barclays Center in November? That show's not announced yet. If you're going to go to that show, are you going to have proof of vaccination? So there are going to be WWE shows that are affected by this because you have those state and local guidelines. Cody of AEW, and during that media call this week, he said, we're going to follow state and local guidelines. We're going to encourage people to wear masks.
That's a way to do it too. That's a perfect way to do it too. So if you're going to New York and they got a policy that says, hey, vaccinated people only, guess what? Vaccinated people only. It's not that hard. There are ways to get around this unless it just balloons completely out of control, which hopefully it won't. There are ways to get around this and work around this as a touring schedule. Is it going to be a pain in the dick? Yeah, absolutely it is. But you got to do it if you want to keep touring. And please, for the love of God, keep touring because I can't go back to the Thunderdome era, man.
There's going to be some people that get it, and hopefully they're vaccinated and they're okay, or they're healthy and they can deal with it just fine. I'm of the thought where there's a way to keep going. But we've heard the rumblings that WWE just doesn't like shooting people with masks on, even though they were told to have masks on that crowd in WrestleMania, right?
Right.
They went with that crowd, right? And people still there's a lot of people that didn't. Now this crowd's gonna be told to wear those masks. I don't know how you police that at 40,000 people. I don't know how you tell those people to do it.
What's the capacity for the Raiders?
41,000. 41,000.
There's going to be more than that. Because of the field,
and there's last minute adjustments, and they put more tickets on sale and stuff like that too. But I mean, this is a legit sellout crowd. That's a lot of people right on top of each other. I was at Lollapalooza. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people.
Okay, so no, that's not right. Hang on,
looking up numbers.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong stadium. Keep talking. Fine.
So I'm of the thought I'm okay with this. And WWE's ran the public service announcement saying, go get your shot, go do your thing. I wonder if the wrestling world should have, and these are things I've brought up before. Should there be an agreed set of standards? Because you go to independent wrestling shows, it's all over the place. There's some wrestling shows, you go to independent wrestling shows, and they say you don't take that mask off. You're here, you enjoy that show. You come here, you want to wear your mask, cool, this or that, like. I worked some shows. For.
Did you get fired again, or did you just get brought back?
I worked some shows for AAW. I'm gonna be working for AAW this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And their policy is pretty clear. If you wear your mask and you're off camera, that's fine. If you want to wear your mask on camera, just let us know so we can frame it correctly, right? And then they would do it with people spread out and limitations, and they did it in a bigger venue, and they had to eat some of the costs of running the venue to have no tickets sold, but still try and put on a show that looks like a show. But I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle in terms of live crowds and different things like that. Financially, it just seems way too hard to do.
Yeah, you look, and you have governors who are coming out and saying, "Look, we understand we're not going to do lockdowns, or we don't want to do remote, we don't want to do shutdowns, and this, that, and the other thing, and we're not going to do shutdowns." But there are things that we can do, and one thing is you got to go get vaccinated. If not, you got to wear a mask. But again, you have at a certain point, you can't force people to do things unless you take away things that they like. So if you say, hey, you can't go to shows, can't go to wrestling, can't go to Broadway, can't go into this restaurant, this, that, and the other thing, unless you show proof of vaccination. Hey, you can't keep your job unless you go out and get vaccinated.
Oh, you have a state and federal job? Do you have a state and federal job? You got to get one, And also
the largest hospital system, hospital system in the greater Cincinnati area. Again, greater Cincinnati area just said today, hey, vaccination is condition of employment today. Those are four of the top 10 biggest employers in all of the greater Cincinnati area.
75,000 people in one hospital system where I live were told they had to get it too. I know people that work in the police department in Chicago who were told, said it's not a mandate, but you better get it. You better and it was said like
you have the NFL basically coming out and saying, hey, look, we're not going to mandate this, but if your team gets it and we got to cancel a game in week 18, guess what? You lose. And you might lose your playoff spot. So what's more important to you? There are ways. You're going to have your people who are going to say no matter what.
Yeah.
Screw them.
And you're going to have wrestlers. You're going to have wrestlers who are going to say that. You're going to have prominent people in the industry that are going to say that.
I'm sure you are. I'm not saying
and then you hear these stories about
he has to go out and say, hey, condition of employment. I'm not saying they have to do it. I wouldn't be mad if they did.
If they recruit some people, I think they can say that. I don't know if they can say it with the people that are currently under contract. You have the independent contractor type thing,
sure,
right?
Exactly.
So, and I've been asked.
We've seen them put edicts out before. We've absolutely seen them do that.
Yeah. I've been talking to some people that work in WWE production, and I asked, they're like, there's not been a demand to get it, but it's been said, if you get it, you don't have to wear the mask all the time. But there's been a sense of an agreement with the production staff. There's people that film television, set up the rings and stuff like that, that because of outbreaks they had at Performance Center, that their culture is going to be, we're going to get vaccinated and we're going to wear our shots. And we're just going to keep doing this because we think it's the right thing to do by ourselves, the talent, and everyone we work with. And the understanding is they understand why the wrestlers aren't going to wear it, where they're not going to wear a mask, but the camera crew, those guys, no problem with it whatsoever. Yeah. They're going to keep doing it. And if they have to take it off or something, they have to do it. So that's where things stand. John Cena had some curious comments. John Cena is going to be in a huge movie, which I think will be the #1 movie at the box office. You think? It sounds like it. A lot of people pushing towards it here. And that movie is The Suicide Squad. It drops on HBO Max on their premium access level, and then it'll be in theaters. This may be the first movie I see in a theater in almost 2.5 years. I'm looking forward to it. So he's doing the media rounds, and he's still in WWE, and he's still part of SummerSlam for the time being. Big comment by him this week.
Yeah. What, USA Today, right?
USA Today. It's a pretty prominent rag to be in
one of those places that can get an interview with John Cena. Yeah.
Sense of bitterness there, right?
No, not at all. I'm just saying. He don't talk to everybody. I'm just saying. He don't talk
Sportskeeda. Come on. We would change the website to sportskeeda.com. We've made the pitch.
Give me 5 damn minutes.
5 minutes. Just 5 minutes.
That's all I need.
5 minutes.
That means 2 things.
We'll talk about thugonomics for 30 seconds. So he's doing the media rounds, and he basically says, WWE, it's fun to be back in WWE. I'm always going to be a part of WWE. It's made me who I am. But he thinks WWE is over-reliant on established older stars.
Yeah, said he wishes he had the fountain of youth, that he could still be a full-time wrestler. Says he can't be a full-time wrestler anymore. And basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, look, the longer they rely on guys like myself, that's not a sustainable plan. And show me the lie. This is something that a lot of us have been saying for quite some time. And I'll harp on Bray Wyatt. Instead of building up Bray Wyatt as a main event monster, as the next Undertaker in WWE, You had him lose to Taker at WrestleMania. You had him lose to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. You had him lose to John Cena at WrestleMania. You had him lose to Randy Orton at WrestleMania twice. They constantly bring in the cavalry. They don't have Undertaker to rely on anymore. We don't think. They don't have Undertaker to rely on anymore. They don't have Kane. They barely have Triple H. They're not going to be able to get Shawn Michaels back out there again. They got Goldberg. They got John Cena. Occasionally, if they can get Brock Lesnar back in here, yeah, he's one of your other big guns, but he's more of a full-time performer than some of these other guys. Edge is even a part-time performer. He's going to be taking SummerSlam after SummerSlam's over. He's going to be taking some time off. You know he is. He's not under a full-time contract, even though he's working more of a full-time schedule when he is here. What happens? What happens at that point? You have guys on Monday Night Raw, like Karrion Kross, like Keith Lee, like Damian Priest, like Riddle, like Omos, who are future main event level stars. You got to be building up all those guys right now, not just Omos. Omos's booking has been perfect. Guess what? That's the same kind of booking Keith Lee should be getting. That's the same kind of booking that Karrion Kross should be getting. Damian Priest, you finally give him one different match with somebody other than Angel Garza, Jackson Riker, Elias, Miz, and Morrison. You finally give him one match against Sheamus. He wins it. And then the following week, he's right back out there on Miz TV wrestling John Morrison. What the damn hell are we doing? Who's wrestling Roman Reigns after John Cena loses at SummerSlam? If John Cena loses at SummerSlam. No clue. They don't have a guy. They don't have a guy ready to go. You got to start looking toward the future because you're not going to be able to rely on John Cena and Goldberg forever.
3 letters. NXT. And you've done it with NXT before. I don't know why the NXT, obviously, it wasn't successful in this AEW head-to-head battle, so it must be done, right? It's over with. And I've heard some people whose opinions I usually try to say, well, if Cole leaves, and then they're done. I don't think NXT is always going to be the factory for creating that next major WrestleMania star, right? But
all the top stars came out of NXT.
Sure.
Roman Reigns came out of NXT.
Yeah, and Karrion Kross and Keith Lee are on television now.
Right.
And
Seth Rollins came out of NXT. Becky Lynch came out of NXT. Charlotte came out of NXT. All the horsewomen, they all came out of all your top.
And also rebooted people too, like a Finn Balor and different things like that too.
All of your main event top level stars who are there currently working full time, not counting Edge, John Cena, those guys, they all came out of NXT. So
I think it's possible. I think it's possible to give NXT that edge. I don't want to say it's lost, but remind you of it and shine it up a little bit, and tell you that this is our hardcore brand. This is our heavy metal. This is if Raw and SmackDown are top 40 pop hits, right? This is our alternative rock festival. This is the separate thing where we're going to make those bands are going to blow up. And did it work head to head with AEW? I don't care if it did or not, right? Because
there's a lot of reasons why it didn't.
Sure. There's a lot of reasons why it didn't. All right. And I think it's still on television. You still have a prominent position with it. If you don't need it to be bigger Raw than SmackDown, you need it to make big future stars. And I do think there's a lot of people there, or retain people that you have in the company so they can help create those stars along the way. And I do think there's a lot of possibilities there. There's some great storylines there. There's some really, really fun stuff I'm not seeing on SmackDown. That Indy Hartwell Dexter Loomis thing this week was incredible. The best romantic storyline I've seen in professional wrestling in a long, long time.
I thought Otis and Mandy Rose was pretty good as well. But yeah, no, I get your point. Problem is you have a lot of these prominent stars on NXT who don't want to leave. You got guys like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole who don't want to leave. They don't want to go to the main roster because they know they know that Karrion Kross Keith Lee booking is just waiting for him.
Yep.
I fear so much for a guy like Bronson Reed. I'm just like, no, please. He's just going to turn him into the Funkasaurus again. Don't do it.
Bronzilla, dude. It's going to be
Bronzilla. We're going to get Bronzilla, and he's going to have, the next Cameron and Naomi dancing alongside him as he goes down to the ring. I can just see it. I hope that doesn't happen, but I could see it. I could totally see it. We've seen people like Piper Niven who's coming over, and what are they doing? They're hanging around Eva Marie being called Dude Drop. All right. Like we've seen what happens when not all of them, obviously you have your Kevin Owens.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that as much as people do,
but you have a lot of people who are concerned about how they would be booked on the main roster. So they don't want to leave NXT. It's a problem. It is a problem.
I'm looking forward to Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. So that'll be badass.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch I can't wait to watch Karrion Kross lose his 5th match by then.
All right, we gotta improve your mood.
WWE needs to improve their show, and then I will improve my mood. I'm looking forward to SmackDown on Friday because SmackDown's always good. Raw sucks right now. I'm sorry, it does. And it's not fair. And I'm not sitting here saying it's the talent. It's not. They have the talent to be special. They have the talent to be white hot, even after all the people they released. They absolutely do. I don't hate WWE.
But the thing is, Rick, why are we louder? Why are we louder about what sucks, not louder about what we love? You know what I mean? We didn't talk that much about this great angle with Dexter Loomis and Indy Hartwell. We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about the cool stuff they did on SmackDown last week.
Dude, it's the same thing that happens on sports talk shows. When your team is good, nobody wants to call up and say, Joe Burrow's awesome, baby. When they start off 1-7, fire Zach Taylor. That's what it is. We're conditioned to bitch. And this week I had a lot to bitch about.
That should be our t-shirt. We should get it. Can we get a conditioned to bitch wrestling t-shirt?
If we we'll go to Pro Wrestling Tees. If we had recorded this show on Sunday.
Yeah.
This is me calm down. This is me after like a full week to think about stuff rationally. Holy God, if we would record this show on Sunday, you would not have been able to contain me. It would have been bad.
So what are you going to be like next week? All right, we'll be back.
Who do they fire on Saturday this weekend?
Oh, God, don't get me going. All right, we'll be back next Thursday. We go deep every Thursday night. You, of course, can enjoy this in audio form as well on our podcast feed, available on Spotify, Apple. Thank you for putting us on the charts there as well. We drop a lot of different stuff on there, not just this show every week. You can also check out Top Story of the Day with me every weekday. Every weekday, I'm on that late afternoon doing the biggest stories of the day and much, much more.
Sometimes
and Rick, you have a ton of interviews. We excuse me, what?
Said sometimes I'll do a Money in the Bank run in, cash in.
Yeah, you did one of those. That was.
I'll do one of those every once in a while.
Yeah. So you have a ton of interviews that we just dropped recently that people.
Yeah, within the last couple of weeks, I decided that I had been burning the trail with the WWE PR people for a while. They give me like 5 people inside of a week, so I decided to take a little bit of a break. Let some other people get some moments. I didn't want to blow out their email inbox this week, so I took a week off. But I'm sure I'll have somebody next week, either for this show or up on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel.
Cross our fingers. Maybe you'll be doing some cool stuff in Vegas. Cross our fingers.
Oh, I'll be doing a lot of cool shit in Vegas, as long as COVID. Whatever.
Yeah. All that.
Get the shot.
Give him a follow on the Twitter machine. You can see it right there on the screen at Rick Ichino. You can give me a follow at Kev Callum. Of course, if you haven't done already, follow Sportskeeda on Twitter. We have a great Sportskeeda. Shout out to our social media team. Just cracked 100,000 followers on Instagram. So thank you guys so much for that as well. We appreciate it. All right, we will return next week. Remember, when watching wrestling, you must do the most important thing that you can possibly do while watching wrestling, which is what?
Enjoy it, unless it's Monday Night Raw. Make the show better.
Enjoy wrestling. Enjoy wrestling.
Make it better.
Stay safe. Get your shots. Enjoy wrestling.
Make it better.